So we start, right, push hand position. So first we circle, and I'm going to talk about how to deal with a push, right, in push hands, right? So first way of dealing with a push, right, first we circle 1, 2, and 3. Okay, you push, I go back, right? I try to give more space, okay, to allow the force to dissipate, right? Because here, if I don't give that space, right, you push and I resist, right? It's completely force against force. And then it's a matter of who is stronger, right? So in push hands, right, so push, right now, instead of resisting the force, I want the force to dissipate, okay, into this space. So it means that I have to create more space between you and me, more space. So then you push, and you keep going. You see, your knee already reached your toes, right? So if you keep going, maybe you will be off balance. So when you're pushing, like if I'm pushing, right, and you go back to give more space, okay, there's only so much space I can cover. Once I go over that space, right, then I'm out balance. I'm out of my space. And to judge whether you're out of your space or you're within space is one way to do it, just by looking at the alignment of your knee with your toes, the front side, right? So here, if my knee doesn't pass my toes, it means I'm within my space. So the space to me is defined by the space of your feet, right? From the front toes to the back heel, right? This would be my space. So I'm working within the space, right? I'm working within the space. Once I go over the space, it means that I'm outside of my space or comfort zone, right? And once my knee passes my toes, it's likely that I can get uprooted, get pulled forward, okay? So by then, once my knee passes my toes, and if you pull, right, it's more difficult for me to maintain my root, right, because I'm already out of my center, okay? But if my knee doesn't pass my toes, right, I'm just doing this, and then you try to push me, pull me, you try to pull me, yeah. Right? Yeah, I'm within my space, so my center is good. My center is grounded when I'm within my space, okay? So therefore, you pull me, it's not that easy, right? Okay, so therefore, the first thing to do once you're getting somebody's pushing forward is, do you have enough space? Can you create more space? Right? Here, I'm creating more space. You see, I'm going back. But if I go back too much, also no good. So again, how far you can go forward and how far you can go back, it really depends on the space that is defined by your feet. Okay? So you push. Here, good. More. I'm out of my space. Okay, but if I make my stance wider, so now I'm defining a bigger space. You understand my point? Right, here I'm making the space smaller, here I'm making the space bigger. So if I make my space bigger and you push, you see, now I have more space to work with. I can go back more. You see? Right? So in push hands, it's important to think about your space. And first, how to define your space. There's no one standard, like the space has to be this big, the space has to be this big. It's a matter of, how tall you are, how comfortable you are with your stance, okay, how strong you are, how much skill you have. All that is going to affect how much space you're going to define. right? How much space you feel comfortable working with. So I start with, I can do smaller space, or I can do bigger space. Now bigger space, right, I'm able to create more space. And so when you push forward, I'm able to create more space and to better dissipate your push, your force, the force of your push, right? So now I have bigger space. Now you go forward more, you try to push more, I can pull you. But if I define a smaller space, and then you push, I go back, now I have less space to work with. So there's less space to dissipate the force of your push, right? So one of the benefits of working with, big stance is that you have more space to work with, right? But it doesn't mean that having a bigger space is good on everything, right? Certainly there's also things that smaller space can do that you cannot do with a bigger space, right? But to start in push hands, it's better to start with working with bigger space, because as we grow, as we get older, okay, as we grow from a child to an adult, it's just natural to open, right? Open, right? Just natural for the body, right? Okay, so if you work with a bigger space, then you have to explore the full extent of your space, right? So if I push, I really push, but I don't overextend. I don't go out of my space. Again, my space is defined by the front of the toes. That's my forward limit, and my heel, which is my back limit. So I have to stay within this space, right? And let's say if you take a little step closer to me, right, and I didn't move my feet, right, I'm still in this space. Now if you push, keep going, push. Now you're getting into my space, and I have less space to work with now, even though my stance hasn't changed, right? I still stay like this, but you just get closer to my space. Now I have less room to go back, right, to dissipate your force. Okay, so that's the first thing to think about when somebody's pushing you. How do you work with that push, that incoming force?